In the first video, we spent much of the time on the semi-tropical west coast. Now, in this second video, we cross the Southern Alps, which is this ridge that goes right up the middle of the country, bisecting it. And we cross over that to fish amongst all these blue lakes, which are in glacier country over towards the east side of the island. At the end of the trip, we travel up to Nelson at the top of the island, where we visit a large still water in a national park. Here we were pleased to find that they protect eels by not allowing commercial eelers to come and upset the naturally balanced stocks of eels. When the longfin eels of New Zealand reach maturity, they migrate from fresh water to their spawning grounds, which is somewhere in the east of the Pacific Ocean. No one's sure exactly where they go. It's one of the unknown facts about these eels. On hatching, the eel larvae float to the surface and then drift on ocean currents, which takes over a year until they reach the shores of New Zealand. When they reach the shores, they swim upstream, mainly at night, when they wriggle around any obstructions, such as hydro dams. But not all dams are passable. We went to look at a dam which the elvers struggle to get past. There we were shown around by Colin Sinclair of Meridian Energy.
This is crazy, look at this. It signs access to Manapuri Lake Control and then notice no entry. Bloody shit.
Yeah.
Silly bastards. Yeah. Don't lock it, Peter, just clip it together.
So it's not actually like a dam like you'd have on a reservoir, is it? It's more of a...
It's a control structure.
Right.
To
Does it
keep
control
the
the flow, does it?
Yeah, to control the level of Lake Manapuri.
Ah, yeah. Even though it's so far from the lake?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It also turns Marara River back into Manapuri so we can get a bit of generation. That's the 4 control gates, A, B, C and D. And the actual flow is, the set point is 12 cubics and the actual flow is 16.8. You see, this is what makes me mad. When you've got a mechanical setup here and you've got a slot here that is measurable, that does not alter, why in the hell can't you calculate the correct flows and put the matrix in? Why have the error?
Yeah.
You know, and I keep asking these questions to people and they say, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, this has been going on for 2 years and I've had a guts full of it.
Yeah.
People, I got to answer to the people like the guardians of the lakes and these sort of people. They say, well, you know, what's going on? I said, well, I don't bloody know. It's all controlled by a computer when it works. With the three inlet gates, this one's open at the moment.
Right.
And the other two are different levels for different flows. We catch the little elvers here, wheels, take them up to Lake Tiania.
Right, so they can't get up that path?
Well, some do.
Some do.
There has been the odd few seen, but certain size fish will only be able to swim through a certain velocity of water. There's a graph that, you know, you can work it out.
Yeah.
But of course, the little fellas are not strong enough.
You think they could have incorporated a little chute with the right pressure for the eels, couldn't they, in a path like that?
Yeah, it's not quite so easy because of the fluctuating lake level, you see.
Ah, yeah. So, yeah, flows vary, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Especially in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Neil Pass, see the windows in the wall?
Oh, yeah.
There's what they call a border pass. It starts down the bottom and it goes up through the structure, but it never works.
Right.
The eels go up at little fellas sometimes, but it gets full of gravel and
I see, yeah. Battling with the elements, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah. The future stocks of eels are now protected by laws within the South Island Eel Management Plan. The government has realised that the eel harvest is a crop which needs to be managed at sustainable levels. Commercially, the eel fishery is very important. It has an annual total catch in New Zealand of approximately 1,500 tonnes and an export value of $10 million. Due to a variety of reasons, under past management, the South Island eel population has been depleted in certain areas, the main reason being loss of habitat, but also overfishing has had an impact.
This is the eel wagon, it's taking all the eels off. This is a storage creek where it stores his eels. And the bloke comes and picks the eels up out of the creek, puts them in these aerated tanks. Take them off to the eel processing plant at Invercargill.
Same truck that's all loaded, now being unloaded. Big one's all going into this tank. Interesting. How big?
Oversized. So they just put them back in a local creek, give them a chance to go back and spawn.
So we have a machine for spinning them.
Ah, yeah. Very nifty. Spinning machine. How's that?
And these ones will be made into segments for the Belgian market.
Ah, so they go to Belgium most of
These
them?
ones, yeah.
Right.
If we left them whole and ungutted and unslime, they would go into England into jelly trade.
Ah, I see.
Jelly eels.
Jelly eels, yeah.
Yeah.
So you export to the UK?
Oh yeah.
That's interesting. We export to the UK. Yeah.
Frank Bradley just out of London. It's a good size short one.
Good size short then, yeah.
Probably the bigger stuff than that out there. All the eels, so segments, we put them in kilo packets like this. And they're vacuum packed. Can't see much there. That brand name's going worldwide.
Is that your brand name? Is it your... Right.
White tuna. And Mary.
White tuna, yeah, that's what America call them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Well, when we put the management plan together on eels, on the big eels and the wee eels and everything, I got a young Mary fellow down here, and they do a carving to personalise it to each person. And I said, I want one that will depict what we've done. So the big long fin, which this is, because it's got the fin,
Yeah.
further, is the top predator in the river. So we've got the big head and the big mouth on them
Yeah.
to depict that. Okay, and this little bit in here, seeing the eel originates from the salt water, that's where he breeds,
Yeah.
that's where the young come from.
Yeah.
This is a bit of power shell and made in here,
I see.
and this depict that he comes from salt water.
Yeah.
And in this carving around the outside, it looks like a lot of twirls and twists and that actually tells the story of the fish that he is part of. So we have this thing here is the flounder, and when you turn him around the other way, it's a hammerhead shark. Okay, there you go, you see the hammerhead shark, and then another flounder there. So this is part of his life cycle as he comes through from saltwater to freshwater.
I
and
see.
back to-
Yeah, going up the creeks and back.
Yep.
And... Evidently, the eel management plan, with its quota system, works to provide future stocks of medium-sized eels for commercial harvesting. But this system doesn't allow sufficient numbers of eels to grow onto breeding size. An eel takes a long time to grow, but under the present system, if the eel doesn't get taken away as part of this year's quota, it'll probably get caught next year or the year after that. until few eels are making it through to maturity. As an angler, it's these larger eels that I'm interested in, yet they're of no use to the commercial people because they have to put them back. In a water that hasn't been tampered with by the commercial sector, there's normally a natural balance with 10% of eels being large breeding females over 4 kilos. And the commercial sector have to put all eels back over 4 kilos. What I reckon is needed is more eel conservation areas where the natural stocks of eels are left entirely alone. Then they'll be able to grow to sufficient size and sufficient numbers of big eels will return to the sea and breed. Nonetheless, it's good to see that elvers are protected in New Zealand. It's a pity the UK can't take note of this and ban elver fishing, so that we too could have abundant stocks of eels in our rivers, which is, after all, how nature was meant to be. Nature is meant to take its course. Upper Waitaki system. This comprises of a series of rivers, hydro canals, dams, huge lakes and their tributaries. The whole system is in effect a giant eel prison, because fish passes were unthought of when the dams were built, and the population of eels has been landlocked for many years. Got a bucket in the back of the car, and we're going to collect all the roadkills as we go. Hopefully they'll be killed last night, we'll leave the old ones.
Bingo!
What have you got?
Hare.
A hare? How old?
Fresh as a daisy.
Fresh as a daisy. There's a happy man. Look at, I've never seen such excitement over a roadkill. Fresh bait.
Oh.
Has that just been hit?
Yeah.
Now we're sorted for bait. Possum number 1. Hydroelectric lake. 3 dams the eels have to get through to get here. In fact, they can't get here anymore, as far as I know. And basically what we've got is landlocked eels. They've been here ever since the dam was built. Or longer. A lot longer. On Lake Benmore, we're having a bit of a baiting up exercise. And we've got loads of eggs. But this is the number 1 attractant for eels over here. You have to smash up the eggs and throw them in the edge, and it lets off a big slick into the lake to attract the eels. And to the eggs we're adding 1 kilo of diced fish, and also we've got 2.6 kilos of pedigree optimum prime beef pet food. The advice we've been given about these big eels in Benmore, we have always assumed the eels were at the dam wall. We've been told that the eels are further up. So we're now near the top end. The other thing we were told was to find a creek, an inflowing creek. Now at this time of year they're all dry. So what we've chosen here, if Pete can just pop his head round this out of his tent a bit, is a point where there's a very strong onshore wind beating on the point, and we know that the back tow from that is going to circulate the scent from the slick of this horrible mix we're putting in. The other thing that might seem odd to you is that we're only going to put it within 4 feet of the shore, because in New Zealand the eels come to the margins, there's no doubt about that. So we're putting it right in the edge where the back tow will distribute it down the lake, and the eels will definitely come to us. You generally don't need to put your bait more than 2 or 3 feet from the shore, as close as that. So we're going to put this mix in and then keep well back. The other thing I could show you is something we picked up on the way here, the usual road-killed possum. And we're going to cut that up and use some of the flesh.
A few eggs in there as well.
That's good, that. £25 breaking strain line, hollow fiberglass telescopic boat rod with the end section broken off. That's all you need, something sturdy. The bait is, I think it's a small salmon par, £40 wire trace on the bottom half below the second swivel. So we've got two swivels to counteract the twisting of a big eel. The rod will just be placed within 2 feet of the shore in this slick that's attracting them in.
How far out did you cast?
Just didn't cast out, it's just in at the edge. Right.
Where we baited up basically.
Yeah,
So the centre trail had brought them in as we were promised. And we've got one as big as we hoped for.
We had another run, that didn't go anywhere, and then the next run.
We think that must have been the same eel, eh? Because they usually come back, don't they?
Yeah.
So, 2 runs. I got a run, but it was a trout which took a piece of possum flesh. So we used that for bait, and Pete caught this eel on it. Never really thought I'd get some eels that are too big for it. But these things in New Zealand only just go in. Cheers! That's where the bait goes in. £15 10 ounce going back. Done a good job of taming that one. There we go.
Back into the blue yonder.
What a lovely blue lake to catch a 15-10 eel from. Amazing stuff.
Like Benmore. Hydroelectric lake. The sun's just dipping. It's actually behind me now. There's Barry.
We're on the upper Waitaki system. This is the top lock. And this is the best water we've found so far for a big eel, because it's prison water. You've got to get through 3 or 4 dams to get here. Basically they're stuck in here. And it's the hardest water we've found. We're getting 1 run a night to the 4 rods between us. And that's with a lot of baiting up with eggs and various things. This is the top arm of Benmore, and the glacial water that always looks blue on the film is actually diluted up here by a big river coming in through Overarmour. This is what they sell for eel fishing. It's like a giant swim feeder. It's got very heavy lead on the bottom and a wire cage. And with it in the shop they sold what we would call trout pellets. They were fish meal pellets. What they do, they fill this with the fish meal pellets and bung it in, and the scent attracts the eels, which they have it in the edge, and then they have this. This is a New Zealand style eel fishing, this, believe it or not, barbaric. This is a fish spear. They have that on the end, and when the eels approach the swim feeder, they stab them with that and virtually gaff it out. That's an evil bit of kit, that is. Now every tackle shop I've been in New Zealand sells those fish spears, every single tackle shop. We've got a rabbit roadkill that we picked up today. It's fresh. We also picked up a possum, which I've just thrown away because it was actually gone off. Must have been an old roadkill. It didn't look very damaged, but when we had a look later it had maggots, so we got rid of that.
but this rabbit is fresh. Wrapping it up in a bit of chicken mesh that we found. And with us only expecting to attract one eel, we don't want to feed it off with a whole rabbit. So we're going to have these two swim feeders tied to a rope. There's a strong wind blowing across the shore and a good current from it, so the scent should travel far and wide. Bearing in mind there's no eels in here under 10 pounds. That's why I'm gutted that I slept through a run last night. I'm going to have to make some sort of homemade bite alarm tonight to jolt me out of my sleep if I doze off again. We're having hard days, so it's hard to stay awake all night. We can't do it that way.
Not enough hours in a day.
No. We've been to a power station today and got details on all the river system. And when I have time to read it, I'll be able to tell you a lot more about how the eels get in here. Or don't, as the case may be.
You see, Upper Waitaki system.
It's definitely interesting, isn't it, Pete?
Yeah.
The whole project.
Yeah. It's
Prison watered eels. These places are the size of blooming Loch Ness, and there's several of these lakes. Well, most of them are bright blue. Right.
It's the most amazing eel fishing we've found because they're just all big eels. No boots whatsoever. We're above 5, I think it's 4 or 5 dams to get here, so the boots just can't get in.
The commercial netsman came in, he was disgusted because all the eels he caught were too big to take. When we heard that, we travelled up here like a shot. That do?
Yeah, lovely.
2 dozen eggs going in here tonight because it's our last night on Benmore and we're serious for this one. We're doing everything we can tonight to try and attract the eels. I hate this horrible lime green bucket, but it's been handy.
It's a sick bucket.
Oh, it's had some hanging roadkills in it. That's why we got one in toxic colours.
You can't actually buy maggots in this country, but you just get them out of our green bucket if you want them. Right, it's going dark now. It's going dark now. We've just put the rubby dubby in. I'm just showing you the slick that it's made across the lake. For any eels in that area there that pick that scent up, you can see it goes for miles. That's our ground baiting. This is so hard. That'll cover miles of this lake and we'll only get one run if we're lucky. But it'll draw that one eel in. We know it works. This is super hard water and that's what we need, a good slick right across the lake. Eeling hour. What's going to pick up on that trail of fish oil?
3 in the morning now.
Let's come to see the other eel in the sat.
I reckon it's telling it. What's happening?
Yeah,
You know we're here now.
they're communicating. We're buggered on this swim now because they know we're here. in the light. Sent him off. Something like that, right. It's probably one of the biggest eels we've filmed. Imagine.
Great on its nose. Let's come back.
There's your bait.
Yeah.
Straight onto it.
Smelling it. Turned away, could you believe it? Right, here's Pete taking the sack out the morning after. We've got a 14-pound eel in it, 14 pound dead. Remember the needle on the scales hovering each side of 14, and we settled for 14 pound exactly.
About 5 minutes to decide.
Yeah, because he was shaking that much after landing it.
It wasn't under, it was bang on 14.
So we filmed that thing to show you last night, this other eel coming looking at the net. Probably a male, 'cause it was smaller. And the other interesting fact is that I put my bait right on its nose and it wouldn't have it. That's the first time I've had a bait refusal from a New Zealand eel. Now what do you reckon? It might sound a bit daft, but did that eel in the sack tell it about us and tell it not to eat any trout that night? It's all good food for thought. Because me and Pete often have this theory that the eels know we're there. We fish a water, we catch them on the first night and then we don't catch any more, as though they've told the others that we're there. Now, we don't really like to tell too many people. I actually think we're daft when we start saying things like that, but you've seen for yourself what happened last night. There was an eel in the sack and then I got a refusal for the bait from a New Zealand eel. They don't refuse your bait ever. This one did. So make what you like of it. Food for thought. Right, Lake Benmore. We're pulling out now. About 9 in the morning. And we'll just take some photos of this 14-pound eel. So our slick of kitty cat and eggs did work. It drew in that eel and its mate. And that's about all we were expecting was the one run. And that's what we got. But what an eel it is.
That's what that eel spewed up last night. Full rainbow.
Small rainbow. Small for New Zealand anyway.
Yeah.
Partly digested. Well, the skin's just about digested.
Yeah, it's not had it long.
That's the size of bait we'd like ideally, but the trout we keep catching are over £3. Can't seem to catch them that small. Anyway, we'll keep trying. There's how you tame an eel. Well, he's alright when he's lay on his back.
That's where you go in.
Methods: fly, spin fishing, Which are you doing, Mr. Drabble?
Spin fishing.
Spin fishing? Who are you?
No. Bait fishing with a really big chunk of possum.
This is Alexandrina. Have you got a breaking strain on that rod?
It's a £30 class boat rod.
£30 class boat rod.
Conger rod. That's
Two-piece conger rod.
Yeah, screws together. It's actually designed for use with a multiplier. We're struggling a bit with these because this eye is too near to the reel. It should be probably take that eye off and it might be a bit better.
That's a good idea to take that eye off, yeah.
Because it's actually designed for a multiplier that's...
Well, you're using the benefit of the full test curve, aren't you, with
Yeah.
that extra eye, because it bends right through with a... Especially if you hit a... Well, I don't know how big they go.
This is just the knot on the top there, which you tie the stone into the ladies' tights and tie the knot, and then you just loop the line around the knot when you get snagged up.
So it easily pulls off when you get snagged?
Yeah, when you get snagged up, it just...
Good idea.
Actually see where it's ripped the tights already. Possum's thigh.
So what size of a hook is that?
That's a 4.0.
A 4.0? Like a conger hook?
Small, yeah, conger hook. £20, £30
Right.
congers.
Well, I'm only using a size 1s with no O's.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's certainly going to do the job, that, isn't it? And you caught on that hook.
yeah, the smaller eels. So.
Everyone we've met has said to us when we said we're eeling, the locals all say, do you use a gaff or a spear? And when we say that we use a rod,
They fall
they
out
just
laughing.
they don't know what to make of it. They think we're a bit odd. Well, there we go. We're used to that from Britain. Whacking his bait out. Boat rod cast. Counting it down.
Not bad in the wind.
I did 6. It's coming in now. It's a double. It's a babby. That fought well in deep water. Go 9 that.
There we go. Have a look at him tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Small? What size?
The smallest, £9.
£9, 8 ounce.
8 ounce,
I filmed you landing that. And then the other one was about 2 in the morning and I woke up just as you netted it. So we didn't film it. And how big was the other one?
£16 3.
£16, 3 ounce. Let's have a look. Yeah, when there's a small hole they push the nose in it. Keep twisting until it gets bigger and bigger. Force the way out.
They couldn't get out of there though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
They don't really look that big from the inside the bag. I suppose it's hard to tell.
Oh, you might have seen bigger ones.
Yeah. Holy shit!
That's big, is it?
That's what's that?
Bait.
Bait. Wanna bite yet?
They do bite, yeah.
Fuck! Now! That is huge!
Go on, griller.
That's a 16-pound deal.
Yeah.
£16, 3 ounce. There's nothing in the UK as big as that anyone's ever caught anyway. We like to believe they grow that big and we can't catch them.
That is huge at 16 pounds.
You never seen one that big, no?
Yeah, but the bet that's the size of that small one, they get
Right,
Not
yeah,
the
double.
big one.
Right.
The big one is just massive.
Bit the ankle then. Through the net.
That is unbelievable.
World class of eel there. Or is it world class of angler? Yeah, that's right. Lie them on the backs and they go still. If you wrestle with them, they fight back.
It's like a snake. Holy hell.
Nothing beats the gorilla.
That's huge. Oh, you must have been.
Try to bite you.
Yeah.
Eels that bite.
Like that,
You'd know if that bit you though, wouldn't you? There you go, he's taming it now. Stroke it gently. Talk to it nice. And it'll behave. He's a nice little eel then. £9, 8 ounces. Cuts itself back.
Take here.
Do that again. Go on. Again.
It's like a snake.
Just get his head out. That's it. That's making that still. What's 12? 12 what? In girth. Thought it might be a bit more. 12 inches girth.
Jesus.
52. 52.25 inches long. 12 inches girth. No, it has created itself. Isn't it? Go for it, English.
Holy hell, that is one big eel.
Gum. Just arrived in the swim. He's sorting out the ground bait. So why are you cutting it open?
We're just going to get the scent trail.
What, from all its innards hanging out?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really do much wrapped in a fur coat.
No. You can see something that I'm just going to nick.
What's that?
Liver. Which is my favourite bait. So it's full of blood.
And I'll have its kidneys then, or its heart or something, eh? What's that?
Possum's heart. That's like full
Hold
of
it
blood.
still then. That's it. Oh, I'll have that for bait then.
There you go, Baz.
Right.
Near your rod there.
last night. To be honest with you, it didn't fight as hard as our UK eels do, pound for pound. I reckon these things are overweight. They're all beer bellies. Right, £15, 3 ounce, longfin New Zealand eel. Going back. Maybe we'll get to 20, yeah. Can eels find their way to the water? Tell you what, when I tame them, I do it properly, mate. Look at that. I think you smell water now. Come on. If you didn't know better, you'd think it's dead, wouldn't you?
Bubbles out, they'll be away now.
Beauty. I want one 3 times as big. There we are. Throwing the feed bomb in for the night. This will get the eels running in for miles. Set up a slick and bring them in even closer, so we might catch on the margin rod tonight. £15, 10 ounce. It took his bait right near to our swim feeder, so we know that they like kitty cat or whatever cat food it was. Came right into it. But the other thing I'd like to say now, me and Pete argue like cat and dog, you know, about I use light lines and he's used his brutal tackle. Now I've been saying the reason you don't want to use such big hooks is because they damage the fish, they brutalise them. Now, I think he agrees with me after what happened last night. He doesn't feel too good about it, so he's actually changed his hooks as soon as this happened. What happened? He lip hooked this eel nicely, fair and square in the lip, but the hook was so big that the gape of the hook went straight into its eye. And this eel's only got one eye now. Its eye popped out during the fight. Pete was absolutely gutted. He went and changed his hook straight away. Now I know I could catch this on a size 4's carp hook, because I've been doing it. No problem. You can catch £30 fish on 4's hooks. Everyone in New Zealand's been saying to us, use big hooks. You need a real big strong hook for an eel. But Christ, these guys gaff them out. They're barbaric.
And they kill them.
And they kill them. So, as conservationists, we've used smaller hooks.
They crush the barbs down.
So Pete's changed down his hook now. Let me just show you its eye. Or where its eye was. That's where his eye was. It's sort of gone white and cataracted over, skinned over. There's actually no eye in there. If you could just turn him over, we'll have a look at the eye on the other side, Pete. Turn her over, I should say. There you go. You see how close the eye is to its lip? The big gape on a hook is going to damage the eye on the eel. There is a very good reason for using small hooks, guys.
Yeah.
Lesson learnt, eh, Grilla?
Yeah.
Slime ball, Pete. Look at the eel slime across the chest. £15, 10 ounce, going back into Alexandrina.
There's another one running out water.
One-eyed eel. Those ducks had better watch it. glacial water lakes. This one's called Lake Pukaki. Glacial meltwater coming from the snow-capped hills. There's a glacier on the top of there. Now we know why this snow meltwater is so blue. The glaciers are blue. And there you can see the snow meltwater coming down into the river. And that's why the river's blue. And it's baiting up time. That's a lovely mix. Meat mix. Pig's liver, cow's liver. Here we've got cow's heart, which we're going to leave in the margin so the blood will wash in. And the blood from the heart we're going to add a load of eggs to and put a nice trail in.
If you send him a stamped addressed envelope, he'll send you the recipe.
Yeah. So this cloud cover will hopefully stay in for the night and we'll have a warm night on the beach as that sun slits down behind those glacial mountains. So we will commence our quest for the night to catch a giant eel from a blue glacial meltwater lake in New Zealand. Tonight we are on Lake Pukaki, which is a prime example of a glacial meltwater lake, hence the blue colour. Now at the back we've got the mountains and glaciers of Mount Cook. These rivers that come off Mount Cook flow, they actually melt in glaciers. It's been hot today and they're in flood. They flow into Lake Pukaki here, which is not actually a natural lake. It's a hydroelectric lake with a massive dam that takes advantage of all this supply of water coming from the mountains. So high up they can get some force putting it through the turbines from this height. And as we've previously mentioned, and we are now researching, this is a massive prison water. Possibly this system of waters around here, they're probably more acreage than you've got in the Lake District, and it's all what an eel prison. Now I've got onto the Department of Conservation and I've got onto the Meridian Energy that made the dam. I've spoke to the bloke that built the dam and none of them seem to be too aware of this prison water theory. They know there's massive eels here and basically we're breaking new ground here and making them think. Another thing we found, when we fish non-prison waters in New Zealand, 90% of the eels are under 4 kilograms. But in this prison water, they're all over 4 kilos have been trapped here that long, or they're 4 kilos and up. Because the supply of eels isn't replenished each year and there's a low density of eels. And when we fish a water with only 10% of big eels, we have to use a massive bait, and when we get a small eel chewing on the end we shake it off, so we only want the big ones. Now in this situation where we are now, there's a very low density of eels, so we'll be lucky to get more than 1 or 2 runs tonight, but those that turn up are going to be massive. Now with there being little competition, they won't take the food off somewhere to eat it. A bit like chickens in a yard, if one gets hold of a piece of food it runs for it and all the others chase it. This is what happens when you're overstocked with eels in New Zealand. But in this case the eel will come along having no competition and it will eat the bait on the spot. So instead of using a massive bait, although we're after massive eels, we're going to use smaller baits and we're going to strike straight away. We won't get a run, it'll just basically eat it on the spot. So these are some of the things that we've learned over the last 6 weeks in New Zealand. We've now got 6 days left till we fly out to the UK, and we're still rocking and rolling. The way I could really sum up this place is mind-blowing. I never really thought that I'd end up fishing for eels in a glacier. And look where we are.
Down on the beach, yeah, down on the beach, on the beach, yeah, yeah.
You don't really think we're going to catch it here, do you, Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have one run.
What did we catch, Pete?
Bugger all.
It was disappointing, that. Not a single run on Pukaki. There is eels here, but we couldn't locate them.
It's Pukaki.
Pukaki.
Kaki poo.
Kaki poo to this place.
Right, well.
Sander-free zone.
For some reason we're at the other end of the country to what we were yesterday. We got a bit, we've only got 2 nights left and we wanted to fish this place that we've been told about. We've visited a region we've not been to yet. We're up near Nelson on Lake Rotorua, or Rotorua, not sure how you pronounce it. But we know that there's big eels here. It's in a national park, they can't trap and net them. Thanks to Vic from Y Tuna for the information. His information has been invaluable to us on this trip. There's millions of sandflies because we're back in heavy bush country.
Not running with it, aren't it? The chunk like that. There's a line, isn't it? What we're struggling with. Got him anyway. Amazing how they use that sensors for the scent.
Don't ripple up for a minute.
.40.5 girth, and this
Length.
one length, and it's so fat I'm going to measure the girth because this one's 11.4 and the one next to it is only 9.5 even though it's longer.
Maybe 13.
13 inches girth.
Okay,
It's like it's eating a £4 trout. There's something in there.
yeah.
That's why it weighs so much. That's an 11.4 and this one's a 9.5 and this one's 41.5. by 10 3/4. Right, amazing place, this Lake Rotorua. Let me first show you this eel. This is probably only a 9. If you can see that lump there, I haven't stuffed it full of rocks. That's like a 2.5 pound trout, I would guess, inside a 9 pound eel. So it weighed 11 pound 4 ounce. Hell of a beast. What a place this is. There were so many eels here last night, and our 10% of eels being big theory is holding up well. I had 11 eels last night, and here's 2 of them. A 9.5 and an 11.4. Get a photo, yeah?
I'll just zoom it in.
Is it alright? You want me anywhere else?
No, just say regesticated.
What? There's my beauty going back, 11.4. Next to it, I'm going to put a 9.5. Have a race.
Try not to ripple the water too much if you can.
Lake Rotorua, somewhere up near Nelson. What a place. We'll have to come here again. We've seen hundreds of eels last night, but we didn't have enough torchlight to lamp 50 yards offshore. They've been bubbling all morning, and I caught a 6 last night, and it regurgitated all our cat food that's been in the cage.
There's,
Right on it.
that's the pier with the dock boat on it. This is actually protect the eels in here, protected. But we don't know where we're fishing from yet.
Well, we protect them anyway. Just put them back.
Yeah.
I'd like to come here again and catch 30 eels. Or 30 eels a night you could catch. We were asleep half the night because we were knackered. Caught 30 eels a night in here, there'd be some massive ones amongst them. This is the place. If we can stand catching lots of small ones. It's not the prison ones where we have to drive. It's a pity we've got to go. We had another night on it, it was fantastic. See here it says eels are native fish and protected. Sorted, we like that. All birds are protected. That's why we didn't use any for bait. And we're too many hours away from where we left our suitcases at someone's house. We're very sad to leave here. And this is the place where we should have made our film last night. We didn't want to fish here because it was so shallow. A bit tourist up. Bonus as we call it. Seen a 5 pound trout swim off the end of this pier in the sunlight. I feel that if we'd have filmed off here, we'd had 100 eels right under our noses where we could film them with the light. But it's no good in retrospect. Run out of time. Can't stop tonight. Gutted really, that would be the best filming yet. There's so many eels in it, it's a magnificent place. Also like to stay today and take a rowing boat out to do a bit of fly fishing. And I'd like to go and walk around the bush and up those mountains where the clouds like to stay here forever. The west coast is absolutely magic. Don't want to go home.
Swallows or martins. Fantastic.
Summer in February.
No wonder no one